Hey guys, Austin O'Neill here today with you to talk to you about abortions in the United States and around the world and why it should be illegal. Today, my objective is to persuade you guys into believing that, abortion is a murderous act rather than a choice act. So today I wanted to persuade you guys into believing what I believe as a strong-willed Christian, that it is complete murder and it's an underlying issue. And while it might be a hot box topic in today's society, it's definitely protested across the world, across our country especially. But it's just something I want to bring up and try to persuade you guys into believing rather than, just being sidelined to it. So basically, I've been involved in this topic for about 5 years now, ever since I started high school. It's very politicized, sadly, and that it's really, it's turned into a civil war for as far as topics go. So this is just something I want to bring to a lot of people's attention, try to persuade them one way or the other. So that being said, abortion is a very dangerous scientific experiment intended to kill innocent babies. That's what I stand by. That's what I believe in as a strong-willed Christian. That's just something that's very strong to my heart, that I believe it is murder and it should be outlawed. So the first thing I want to dive into is science and how it can boost pro-life supporters. Ever since Roe v. Wade, science has made drastic changes, improvements, and whatnot. It started out as, at 28 weeks, a baby can be born into the world or C-sectioned into the world. That 28 weeks, they can live a full, healthy life. That is now down to 16 weeks. That being said, a baby at 16 weeks can be premature and can live a healthy life for as long as they want and without complications. So the fact that, a lot of people say that babies cannot live, outside of a, close to a full term, well, that's false. It may not be likely, but it is, it's an opportunity. Sadly, that's just something that a lot of people believe in. So you can find more about that issue on theatlantic.com. I just wanted to bring that into it, a fact. Next subpoint I want to cover is the pro-life activists. They use more scientific fact and evidence versus a lot of pro-choice revolutionaries. They would rather, use the my body, my choice method. But pro-lifers, they are more, religious. They're going to be more factual. That being said, I'll get into the facts later in the video, but science is consistently politicized for information about being biased of left or right. I personally find it insulting that a lot of feminists and liberals, or both, find science as a variable and an experiment rather than actual facts. So besides, isn't science based on facts rather than evolution or theory? So, just something to think about as we progress into this topic. So, but now that we've talked about the science side, I want to get into more of the biological experiment side, the biological side and period. First subpoint I want to cover is the cardiovascular system. That is the first major system of function that is created when a baby is born. That occurs about 22 days after birth, or after conception, that being said, the child's heart begins to circulate its own blood. It's unique to its mother, so you can be detected during an ultrasound. The second thing I want to cover is that at 6 weeks, just at 6 weeks alone, that's 30 days into it, a month into it, the baby starts to have facial features: nose, mouth, eyes, eyelids, whatever it may be. Tongues are formed. That's pretty impressive that, at 6 to 7 weeks, 5, 6, 7 weeks, you can start to see these profound facial features. That's really impressive and really neat. But at 10 weeks, they start to have body movement. So that means that their limbs are growing. They're starting to move around in the womb. They're starting to make progress to be a human. Unfortunately, that is usually within 1 to 12 weeks, is usually within about 44% of all abortions occur between 1 and 10 weeks. That's very unfortunate. You can find that more on it at frc.org. I won't get deep into it because we do have a lot to cover, but frc.org does have a lot of information on that. So if you want to read up on it, I would highly suggest it. But now that we've covered the biological development of a child, I do want to get into the facts and stats about abortion. A lot of this information that I'm getting right now for the facts is from prolifereaction.org, courtesy of Guttmacher Institute. So you're more than welcome to go check these out as well. There were approximately 926 abortions performed in the U.S. in 2014. That's over 2,500 abortions per day that were taking place here in the United States, and that was only 6 years ago. Luckily today, we've actually declined 12% as far as abortions total, which is very lucky if you are a pro-life believer. But abortion is still a murderous act. You just killed 1 million babies right there in 1 year, or close to it, I should say. That's 1 million children that they will never get to live their lives. They could have cured cancer. They could have been the next president. We would never know them. So that's just something to think about. A lot of pro-choice believers, they back up their information about, you know, being raped or sexually assaulted. Well, only 0.3% of all abortions are based off rape. So that's not even a full percentage point. That's not even half a percentage point. So, you know, if you're raped, that is very unfortunate. I'm very sorry. However, that's not a factual evidence of why you should be getting an abortion, especially using that as one of your topics. It's cruel, and that should not be listed. Another very important thing to think about is that there are over 30 physical and mental disabilities that can be related to an abortion once happened. So, you know, physically to you can have hemorrhaging, you can have an STD. You are 3 times more likely actually to get a hemorrhage or some kind of internal bleeding or, you know, an infection. That is triple the rate that you are more likely to get that rather than an STD. So that's just something to think about. As well as the primary reason women get these abortions is that they don't feel emotionally capable. That's 32% of women that do not feel emotionally capable. 25% believe they're not financially capable, as well as the child would not be raising a child, and then a concern of that drastically changing that woman's life. 16% of total abortions, basically mothers don't feel like they're capable of holding their own, which is very untrue. Women are very strong-willed. They are able to do a lot of amazing things. So that being said, just to sum things up, we've talked about 3 main points. In conclusion, I just want to say that we've covered some science. We've talked about some progressive biological development. We've broken down the facts about abortions and some statistics that you can bring up as if you were wanting to bring this argument into play. Today, I just want to call to you guys that I challenge people everywhere, no matter your background, to go out and spread the word about how abortions are dangerous, how it's murder, that it's not stressed enough, that this is a murderous act that you're committing with a needle most of the time, and then a vacuum. Imagine getting sucked out of your mom's womb with a vacuum. That's very unfortunate. That baby had no chance at life because of a stupid vacuum. So that being said, innocent lives are being lost. The Holocaust of babies is here, people. You got to pay attention to that. So I just promote this and hope everybody goes out and makes a change. So thank you.